Hey team, as you know, I went to the CER webinar on Saturday. It was very good. It was recorded, and I think you'll be able to access it next week. So if you're interested, I'll share the link and you can look at that later. But I wanted to quickly give you an overview of some things you might want to use in the near future. So the first thing we did was we practiced making claims and supporting them with evidence in a really low risk way. So we looked at a series of images of inventions, and we were asked to place them in order of their impact the year they were invented. So their magnitude of impact on the world when they were invented. Person who's the longest name would go first and choose a card and say this had the most impact. And then as a group, we want to reach consensus. So state your evidence, and then students would take turns either supporting or refuting the claim. And then the next person would go until you had them all in order. And so I really liked how they did this. They just had a series of identical slides, and I was in breakout room 7. And so this was the slide we worked on. And so it was really easy to see that other people were moving things around, and yet it was just one slideshow. The discussion protocol was on the last slide if students needed it. And then these are just all images you can move around like you can in Google Slides. So we were asked to sort them. So again, it was just about making a claim and defending it with evidence. And it was kind of an interesting way to do that around inventions. All right. So that one I said. Okay. Then we worked through a CER using this image. And what I liked is the way they did this is they started with a question, not even a claim, just a question. So would you play in this water? And then after everyone sort of said yes or no, as you can imagine, most people said no, then we went into breakout rooms to start just curating and gathering, well, what evidence? What made you say no? And so we had a scaffolded document that looked like this. It had the picture on it. And we each had our own document. So we were in a breakout room, but we were all working on our own document. And we were discussing the evidence, which was helpful because I had a really easy time coming up with one or two, but it was interesting to hear what other people thought and then to push yourself to, like in this case, fill in all 8 boxes with potential pieces of evidence. And then we went back to the big group and we just shared out our ideas. And again, you could be writing in your doc. There's a rubric you can see in the resources I'll share if you want to use as a way to break down giving students feedback on these elements, not necessarily a grade right away. And we could have these all be 1 through 4 if that's the way we want to give feedback. So then we shared out our evidence. And then we made a claim. So after we had, thought about evidence, then we sat back and said, okay, so what's your claim? And in my case, I wrote, a person should not swim in this water. That was my claim. And so I kind of liked that sequence. It felt a little bit more inviting. And then we went into reasoning. Oh, I like these progressions as well to give you an idea of what we can expect out of students in each grade band. And then we went into reasoning. So again, on the doc, it's scaffolded. So ideally, as students got better at this, you could start removing some of these scaffolds. But what I liked is you'll notice that now I have a place to write my key pieces of evidence, and you might not have blanks for 6, but at least 3 or 4, I would imagine. And now you can ask students to use terms in their reasoning, and this might help them make a connection. So for example, my evidence was people look like they're wearing protective gear. So how do I use these terms to explain why is that a concern? And so again, we were in breakout rooms discussing this and really looking at how we would use that vocabulary before we came back to the large group and started sharing out. So again, it was really nicely scaffolded. And I'm going to share this slideshow with you and other resources I got. And again, like I said, the video of the webinar will be available next week. So hopefully this is a little helpful, or you can grab some of the resources that I'm sharing. Have a great break.